All right, we're here. We're doing it. We're live.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying their probably the nicest day we've seen in 2020.
Calvin, I love it that you are a man of nature. You're out there right now enjoying it, but you're still making time for the stuff that matters, real estate, and answering the questions that the people have been sending our way.
Yes, I know we've been getting a lot of common questions when it comes to real estate, and I thought this would be a great time to answer those questions. And it just offers a good opportunity for people to comment, where we can get back to people based off our discussion. And no place I'd rather be than to be in nature. And I am fully secluded right now, as you guys can tell, and that's not a fake background. So for all you Zoom experts out there that have all these fancy Zoom backgrounds, this is real. This is 100% real. I could literally go climb that tree right now. So what a great day to be out. So
I love it. Well, I'm here in my home office, which is basically just a converted guest room, as you can see the bed frame over there. So I've got a good setup too out the window right now. I've got a pretty decent nature view, and a couple of the neighborhood kids are frolicking around. So we're doing pretty good.
And so just for anybody that's watching right now, how many of you guys think that James needs a tan and needs to get outside himself? Because I asked him if he found a new filter, if it was like a pale filter that he swiped on, but it's just his natural coloring. So I think
this is
for any of you guys that think
this is my sparkle. I'm actually using the Twilight filter right now.
Oh, that's too funny. You know what? You pull off anything, James. So
I appreciate it. So Calvin, one of the things we wanted to do to add a little zip to our live broadcast here is just send a little love to everybody who either enjoys it live with us right now or watches it between now and our next broadcast next week. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that's going to be all about?
Sounds good. So our biggest thing is we want to connect with you guys at home. We don't have the luxury of being in front of you face to face, and we don't have the luxury of doing that with family, friends, or anything right now. So we're really trying to improvise and innovate of how we can still give you great content that's relatable to you right now. And I know a lot of you guys are probably bored at home. I know a lot of you guys have been mentioning, every day feels like Groundhog Day. So I'm hoping that we can introduce this at least once a week into your days to make things interesting. But you know what? Not only just sitting back and listening to us, we want to make it, as interactive as possible. So I truly mean, if you guys have any questions or want to connect, please connect with us at any point. Because we love it. We are people, and we love to know what's going on with you. And totally. By you, it means everybody. So
the way that we want to show that love is from now until our next broadcast next week. If you hit that like button and like the video, if you send us a comment, so if you comment below, or if you share this video, we're going to enter everybody into a little draw. And then during the next Facebook Live, we are going to support local. So we'd love some suggestions of a local restaurant that you guys feel needs a little bit of extra love. In the comments below, we're going to pick one of those restaurants. We're going to get a $100 gift card to that restaurant. And then live on our broadcast next week, we're going to do a draw for all of the likes, comments, and shares. And we're going to pick a winner for that dinner gift certificate so that we can support local. We can send love to a great local restaurant. And we can share some of that love with you guys. Just a thanks for tuning in and participating. So Calvin, why don't you introduce what the 5 things we're going to be talking about today are?
Okay, so we're going to start in no particular order, but we're going to go through the 5 most popular questions that our mogul team has been getting from our clients and our friends. And we've compiled them all together. And I know that you guys probably have a lot more than 5. To keep things simple today, we're going to start with 5. So the first question we're going to be discussing today, James, is how has the real estate market been impacted by COVID?
You know what? That's a great question. And we wanted to start off with a bang because we're getting asked that question every day, almost every conversation as real estate experts. So what's the impact? Well, for me, I'd say the immediate impact that I've been seeing from a statistical perspective is that the sales volume is down. Now, let's delineate sales volume from price. Prices haven't actually really started to soften. What we have noticed, though, is that the number of houses that have changed hands in April is a heck of a lot less than the number of houses that have changed hands compared to April of last year. So last year by April 15th, we had about 1,000 houses change hands. this year at the same point in April, only about 500, 600 houses have changed hands. So there's less people doing deals, but it's only about by half. There's still a lot of people who are out there buying and selling. Calvin, what have you been noticing as a realtor who's on the ground? You're still working with clients. We're still doing showings. How have you noticed the market being impacted?
The biggest thing that I can say is that there's a lot of sellers right now that are questioning whether right now is the time to sell based off the lack of buyer activity. There's just obviously a lot of safety concerns out there, which I respect and that we respect with Mogul Realty. And that's why we take the proper precautions when we are showing properties or doing virtual tours. So we do the proper steps to make sure that we're, providing a safe environment for everybody. But as a whole, there is still movement out there. I'm still working with buyers. I'm still working with sellers, as I know you are, James, and I know the rest of the team as well. But what we're noticing is that, actually funny little comment is I had a client reach out to me on Sunday. Mm-hmm. He was interested in 3 separate properties. And I can tell you when I contacted that realtor shortly afterwards, each one of those properties were pending. So I know firsthand that there is action happening. It's not even just the statistics that we're seeing that we have access to, but people are still shopping. What's being purchased right now are those deals where sellers need to press that eject button. So there are people in a position where they don't have the option to sell. They have to sell. And even though I know that things like banks and there's other programs that are available for homeowners to help provide them support in this time of need, just like they are with tenants, some people are in a position where they just have to sell. And a lot of them are, essentially doing a bit of a fire sale where they're just dropping the price as low as it's requiring to get the deal happen. So I think for those buyers that are active, that still want to be active in the market, is keeping your eyes open for those great deals because they are popping up. And we've seen a couple. I know, James, you have a client that just had a $50,000 price reduction, $50,000 price reduction, totally, just because they need to get the money out. So it is happening. I think it's important to just keep an eye on the market. We've been setting up a ton of auto searches with clients lately, just so they can go ahead and see what's happening with the property prices and good deals that are coming up there. My biggest thing is just make sure that you guys are being safe if you guys are still shopping. So.
I think being safe is obviously our top priority. Everybody on our team is properly equipped with their realtor protection kit, their client protection kit. But you're right. I mean, a lot of the people that need to sell right now are taking it seriously and getting ahead of, what could potentially be a market softening. And so we are noticing some sellers just saying like, hey, you know what? I've got equity in this property. I'm willing to put a really good deal out there. I'm willing to put out, a really interesting price to try to attract someone to the property. We actually just had another one of our clients say, you know what? I'm going to do an AFS on this deal. They weren't willing to a month ago, but now they realize that a little creativity is going to go a long way to get things sold. So, the initial on the ground experience is that like interesting and appealing deals are the ones that are getting the attention.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? The nice weather, I think, is definitely encouraging more buyer activity. And I think people just needed a break as well. There was a 2-week span there where I did notice that there was a bit of a contraction in buyer activity. But I think now that people have had that time to sit back and kind of truly understand. So I'm getting flies. Flies are out already, apparently. I didn't realize that, but they are. So.
Welcome to Alberta.
Yeah. But I truly think that, when this is all over, and we're not sure exactly when it is, I think we're truly going to see a large surge in the market because there are a ton of people sitting back and watching right now. And yeah. I think that surge is really going to help our economy and just overall buyer. I think buyers and sellers. So something to stay tuned for. And that's why, we're going to give you play-by-play, week by week, what we're seeing with boots on the ground and how things are changing. So do I think things are going to change dramatically in the next week? We're not sure, but in 2 weeks to a month, I think they are. So that's why I think it's important to stay tuned to our videos so we can let you know firsthand of what's happening.
Totally.
All right, James, we on to question number 2.
Question number 2, hit me with it.
Okay, so buyers want to wait, but what are they waiting to see?
That's a great question. We're chit-chatting a lot with our clients. We're chit-chatting a lot with our past clients. We're chit-chatting a lot with everybody in the real estate community. A common phrase that we're hearing is like, you know what, James, Calvin, I'm just going to wait and see. So what are they waiting to see? Obviously people are concerned that the market is going to soften. They're concerned that prices might go down. They're also concerned, some people are concerned about their own job security. So it seems like what a lot of people are waiting to see is when are we going to hit that point where the market kind of flattens? we know that there's going to be some contraction in the marketplace. With the way the economy is going, it's going to be unavoidable when so many people have lost their jobs, with so much money being injected into the economy by way of low interest rates. This is a natural setup for prices to soften a little bit. So I think people want to see a lower price. They're waiting to see a lower price. And I think it's really important that if you're in a wait and see mentality, like you were planning on buying before COVID and now you just want to pump the brakes, do a brainstorm. Define what a good deal means to you. The thing I'm noticing, Calvin, is, and this happens with every major upswing in the market and downswing, human beings like to naturally run as a herd. So a lot of people want to just do what the crowd does. So when the crowd starts buying again, people are waiting to see what the crowd does, and they want to start buying when it feels safe to do so, because that's what the herd is doing. So the thing that I would be really mindful of as an investor or a buyer is try to get into a buying mindset a couple of months before the herd gets into the buying mindset, because as soon as that happens, that's going to drive that buying volume again.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think when you start to run with the herd, you start to run with greater competition, and that's where we start to get into multiple offer situations on great deals. So we might see the same great deals in a month from now, except the only difference is that you're going to have 5 other people that are looking at getting the same property. And guess what's going to happen to that offer of yours? You're either going to have to go in at something drastic, like an unconditional style offer, which is putting you at a bit more of a risk when it comes to other variables, or you're going to have to go into at a higher purchase price. So I think indirectly, you have a really good point where that, stick to the basic fundamentals. And I know that looking at the other questions, we're going to answer those fundamentals of what buyers should be sticking to right now in this market, given COVID. So I don't want to answer, question that's coming up here, but I think you answered that really, really well. So,
yeah. I mean, one of the things that I think there's a big misconception between a really great deal and where the market is going. For example, that one client of ours that was willing to do a $50,000 price reduction. The entire market isn't going to go down by that much. It's going to go down by a little bit. So if something seems like a crazy deal, or somebody's willing to drop their price well ahead of where the market is going, that's an opportunity to take action, because there's going to be some sellers who are willing to sell. So when you're waiting, wait for opportunities. But if it looks like a good opportunity, it probably is, because the market as a whole is going to shift downwards. But if the market is here and that one person is like, I know the market is here, I'm willing to sell there, that's the opportunity that's worth going for, because you always want to be ahead of the market.
Yeah.
So Calvin, what is question number 3 that we've been asked by a ton of our friends in the Mogul Mastermind community, our clients, and our current buyers? What are people asking?
Question number 3, what properties make the most sense to purchase in a down market?
Oh, that's a fabulous question. Investing is all about picking the right strategy for the right marketplace. A flat market, a growing market, a receding market. There's different strategies that make sense in 3 different types of markets, and we want to choose wisely. Here's the thing. It's no secret we're heading into a receding market. So the first part of that question of what kind of market are we in has already been answered. We know. Now, in a down market, it's very, very important to pick rental properties that give you a definitive advantage amongst the competition. So Calvin, I'm going to bounce it over to you. What are things that tenants love to see?
So from a grand scale perspective, and this is one thing that I really try and embrace with all of our clients and friends at Mogul, is, purchasing in areas of high desirability and maybe a tenant profile that can help support rent. Because I know a lot of questions we're getting right now from landlords are, do I want to go ahead and purchase another property? Are my tenants going to be able to pay rent? Well, I think there's additional questions that we've all added to screening tenants to ensure that we're going to be able to support a good rental property. But looking at a grand perspective, I think it's sticking to the fundamentals and purchasing near infrastructure of great demand. So, looking at where are jobs located in Edmonton, an area, where are tenants going to be looking to live? Where's that demand going to be? What other points of infrastructure that we have, like things like the new LRT that's going to be coming in. And yeah, that might be delayed a little bit, but that just gives you more runway and more time to be able to get into the real estate market, because we know that we tend to see the biggest surge in appreciation once once transit's fully functioning. Things like hospitals, having convenient location to U of A, which is a highly, highly desirable area in Edmonton. purchasing in areas of high demand are always going to help support your investment over the grand scheme of things. And I also think you might end up seeing less of a drop in property value in areas that are a little more supported by buyers. In
Yeah,
addition
Calvin,
to,
if
yep,
I 100% agree. You know what? Location always matters. It matters even more in a down market because tenants want to live in nice places. I'm going to add a second point to that, and I'm going to put it as bluntly as I can put it. A receding market is no time to be buying shitty properties. Let me repeat that. Don't buy shitty properties in a down market because in a down market, tenants have choice. So they're going to want the sparkly. They're going to want the new. They're going to want the nicely renovated. They're going to want the good location. Don't go after a garbage property just because it's cheap. Because in a market where tenants have choice, which is what a down market is like, they're going to choose the nice place. So make sure that when you pick your places, you either buy something nice in a nice location, or if you buy something that needs work, you have an immediate game plan on how to make it nice so that you can attract tenants in this kind of a marketplace.
and I think a lot of people are asking themselves like, okay, so James, what is a garbage property? And I think the basic question you can ask yourself, is this a place that you would live yourself?
100%.
And if it's not, if you don't feel safe, if it's a, there's certain basic things that, when besides location, which is obviously the most important, that's why you say it 3 times, just to get the point across. There's basic things that I look for when it comes to a property, and that's, condition. And if it's a suited property, as long as the main floor is in good condition, that's extremely important. The basement, I find, tends to be a little bit more difficult to rent because either you have low ceilings, you have a lack of light, it feels like a dungeon, the awkward layout. There's so many different variables that we look at when we're shopping properties that matter. So you could be in a great location, but if you're buying a property that has a basement suite that literally has no windows, that doesn't have great ceiling height, that doesn't have good square footage, it's not going to help your cause. So I think there's a checklist that we go through at Mogul to make sure that you're buying a property that is going to be, if it's property A or B and property B is down the road and that tenant's going to shop both properties, we want to make sure that your property is the one that's rented. Because for us, when we're looking at helping you buy a property, it's not just the short-term goal of getting into that property, but it's building a portfolio. How many of you out there, if I could get you guys to all raise your hands, how many of you guys are looking at, creating a lifestyle for yourself where maybe you're not relying on your primary job, or creating another source of income so you have more time to spend with your family, or maybe even just like a retirement fund, or even something that can help support. A lot of people are losing their jobs right now, but a lot of people also have rental properties that are helping support their lifestyle in times of emergency like today. So I think it's not just preparing for one or two things, but I think you're really, you're being proactive about supporting yourself in all different situations. And so we do have this checklist to make sure that you're going to be successful not only with your first property, but your second, third, and fourth. And if you buy a property that doesn't necessarily hit all the criteria that we're looking for, that's like, that's like putting your feet in the mud and like you're trying to run a marathon. You know what I mean? Like we want to get you on pavement. And that's what we do at Moguls. We try and get you in a position where you can really start running, not running through sand, not running through mud, but in a position where you can truly get your second, third, and fourth property. So I think it's important to be diligent more than ever now when it comes to, the home buying checklist. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Calvin. It makes perfect sense to make sure that you want to hit a list of criteria, check the right boxes, and pick a property that's going to attract those tenants and get you rented. Now, for everybody that's just, checking and tuning in, what are we doing? Calvin and I have been riffing, paying attention to the Mogul team. We've been getting a lot of questions from our clients because we've been chatting with everybody over the last month during this COVID situation. We took the top 5 most asked questions and we're answering them right here, right now on Facebook Live. And just a friendly reminder for everybody that comments, hits that like button or shares. We're going to put everybody in a little draw. And then at the next live broadcast, we're going to draw a name and give out a gift certificate to a local restaurant that we all love. So one of the comments we need from you guys, drop that in the comments section, is what is the best local restaurant to do the draw with? Who should we be getting our $100 gift certificate for? So Calvin, we are now on question number 4 of 5 with our most frequently asked questions in the real estate market right now.
So question number 4 is, what is the difference about the buying process with COVID-19?
That's a fantastic question. And I would say that there's a few key differences. So I'll hit on one of them. The first difference is just what the shopping experience looks like. Now, we're relying a lot more on our technology in terms of photographs, virtual tours, and videos to help narrow down the search, because we don't want to go see 15 properties if really only 5 of them are legitimate contenders. So we're using technology to do more of that previewing and then focusing on the legitimate contenders so that we're exposing ourselves to fewer properties and exposing fewer properties to us. What else are we doing, Cal?
Well, I think when it comes down to it, the safety precautions that people are taking when they're actually going through the property when it's time to view. So obviously making sure that you're masked, you're bringing hand sanitizer with you, you have gloves. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people don't have masks. So it's interesting to see how people are being innovative. And actually, just before I got on this Facebook Live, I saw a lady that was posting all of her bras, and she cut them in half and was using the, I don't know the name of it. I don't know, what would you call that? Like half,
The old
anyways.
cup.
Yeah, the cup, I guess. So they're using the cup as the filtration of any kind of like, potential of any kind of, virus of getting in, which I thought was really innovative. So if you guys want an innovative idea, you don't have masks at home or, it's sold out, there you go. There's a solution. So in addition to obviously taking the safety precautions of viewing properties, is the pre-approval process is more important than ever, guys, because a lot of the banks are backed up. A lot of you guys have heard about mortgage deferrals. Keaton, he's on our power team. He's who we use for a lot of our information when it comes to understanding what's happening on the mortgage side of things and the financing side of things. So he's a great resource that we use on a regular basis. We literally touch base with him, I think, every couple of days, if not every day right now. And I think the pre-approval process is more important than ever, because we all know that when you purchase a property, the bank still has to vet that property. There's a good chance that an appraisal is going to happen on it, but that time frame is going to be a little bit longer because they are backed up. There's reduced staff, and so I think to be prepared to not have to extend possession date or put yourself in a situation that can be a little bit more cumbersome as a buyer is go through that pre-approval, make sure that you're all set up for success. We can give you resources when it comes to that, but I would say that's one of my biggest tips.
Yeah, and I'm going to add in one more little piece kind of on the legalese end. We're adding to the contract what we're calling the COVID-19 terms. So here's the reality of the situation. Delays are going to happen for all kinds of wacky reasons. For example, if land title shuts down, if the lawyer's office has to shut down, like if this lockdown gets a little more locked down, we're going to have delays. So we're putting just clauses in the contract that say, hey, you know what? If situations outside of the buyer's and seller's control cause delays to this contract closing on time to no fault of the buyer or seller, both parties mutually agree to extend the closing date of this contract until we're actually able to do this business. So, as realtors, we're adding clauses like that to the contract because, we want the buyer and the seller to be protected in the event that things get a little more locked down and business slows down even more. So we are now ready for the grand finale, Calvin. Question number 5. Hit me with it.
So I'm just getting my notes in order here. If I buy a place, will I be able to find tenants right now? So this is obviously a question for those landlords out there.
Mm-hmm. Great question. I mean, we are investors. We're buying investment properties. And the backbone of a good investment property is a happy tenant who's happy to pay rent. Now, we know that there's complicating factors at play here because, first of all, the landlord-tenant laws have been relaxed to allow tenants to have rental deferrals. Some tenants are interpreting that as free rent as opposed to just deferred rent, et cetera, et cetera. So it is a time where we have to be cautious with the tenants that we choose. But the fact of the matter is people still need a place to live. They're still going to be moving. I personally have filled 2 vacancies since March 15th, so in that 30-day window. Are people moving? Are tenants taking places? Yes. Now, it puts more onus on us as landlords to screen for tenants because while many people have lost their jobs, many people have not. In fact, the majority of people are still working, and they're working quite happily from their home office, earning income. And the people earning income are people that can pay the rent. So will it be more challenging to find a tenant? Yes. Is it impossible to find a tenant? No. And we're going to follow the same fundamentals that we're going to as realtors showing houses to potential buyers to our tenants. We're going to be safe. We're going to use proper sanitation. We're going to use technology to allow tenants to preview the place before they come to it to make sure that they really, really, really want to lease it, so that we're not wasting time exposing ourselves to people and people to us who aren't even that serious. So there's a lot more pre-qualifying happening over the phone. You can even accept your landlord application over the phone to make sure that that person's like legit ready to take the place if they see it in person and like it. I also know a lot of landlords are using, like keyless entry just to let people go check out the place on their own and then locking it behind them when they leave. Not sure how I feel about that one, but there's a strategy that you can employ as well. So it's all about finding creative solutions. So where there's a will, there's a way in terms of showings. But most importantly, are tenants out there looking at our vacancies getting filled? Well, yeah, they are. Calvin, what have you been experiencing with some of your properties?
And those are good points. So I have one house that's suited that I've been advertising for the last 2 weeks. And then I also have another property that I just recently purchased in St. Albert that has 3 suites. We were able to get the upstairs occupied almost immediately. One of the biggest tips that I can give landlords out there, new landlords, soon-to-be landlords, is there's a lot of lack of security out there. As we know right now, lack of security with jobs, just a lack of security. A lot of we've never been through something like this. There's a lot of unknown. So a lot of people want to have that security. They're looking for that security. They want to know something that's concrete. And so tenants that are contacting you right now, get back to them immediately. Don't wait a day. Contact them back right away. If they're inquiring about your suite, if you don't get back to them right away, they're going to find another property and sign, if not that day, the next day. And that's exactly what we're experiencing right now. So there's a little bit more urgency on that reply, because you will lose a good tenant. Because a lot of these tenants, just like if I were looking at renting, I would want to sign something because I need to know that I have a place to stay. And I think we need to go back to the basic fundamentals of, making sure you have enough toilet paper, right? Just kidding to all you guys that stocked up. I think there's lots of stock left. But, food, having a roof over your head, and obviously just like basic safety, right? So people want to make sure that they have a place to stay. So make sure that you're urgent when it comes to replying back to these tenants, because they want to make sure that they have that. And I think just continuing with the same precautions, there's a lot of property managers out there that aren't showing properties right now. So I think that also offers you an opportunity to be that landlord that is.
I'm going to build on one more point, and let's put our investor mindset to work here. Okay, Calvin, quick question. Your average run-of-the-mill, nicely renovated house with an upper suite and a lower suite, ballpark, what's the net building rent for a house that matches that description? Quick ballpark per month.
You know what? For the entire property, we would range from $2,500 to $3,000.
Okay, I'm going to round up. I'm going to round up just for the sake of illustration. The rent on that place is $3,000 a month. So if you're buying a house right now, let's play the old worst case scenario game. Worst case scenario, you buy that place and you incur a little vacancy. Maybe it's a month, maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 3 months. If you put an offer on a place today, you're probably not going to close at least for 30 days, maybe 60 days. So if we close on June 1st and we sit vacant for June, July, and August, I'm assuming that by September, things are going to be mellowing out a little bit. We've got 3 months of vacancy. Calvin, what's 3 times 3,000?
We're at $9,000.
$9,000. Let's talk about this from an investment perspective. We just had somebody drop their price $50,000. So if you're brave enough to be shopping right now, yes, you might have to invest $9,000 in vacancy. But to find that seller who's willing to sell at a $50,000 loss, $60,000 loss, $75,000, I'm just getting crazy here. But like in the grand calculus of your investment, on this column, you might not get $9,000 of rent pulling you down. But in this column, if you're saving $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, you're ahead by $20,000 to $30,000 to $40,000 on your investment by shopping right now while others are waiting and seeing and being fearful. And know that a couple of months of vacancy is just part of the equation. So that's what I'm seeing as an investor. And those are the analyses that I'm running when I think like, oh my gosh, what if I don't find a tenant right away? Okay, that's a cost of doing business to allow you to tap into some incredibly historically aggressive pricing right now. So Calvin, that was awesome. I appreciate the fact that you took our 5 most frequently asked questions and put them together. What are we going to be doing next week?
So we'd like to hear from you guys. And by you guys, I mean anybody that's going to be watching this video in the next couple hours, next couple days. We want to know, what kind of question do you want answered? And again, obviously things are going to be changing in the real estate market, month after month after month. So we want to know from you, what's the most important question that's been going through your mind? Because we'd love to be able to answer it from our perspective. And our perspective is actually being in real estate on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, it's something that we like to nerd out about. That's why we do Facebook Live videos on real estate. Who the hell else would be doing that, right? Most people are doing, I think it's called House Party. I think we've tried that a few times and having fun. We like to nerd about real estate. We like to nerd out hard. So we're here to answer your questions. So I'd love to be able to see what those questions are in the comments below. Feel free to DM us as well if you don't want to have that question to be public. And I look forward to going through this next week. So
yeah, I'm pretty stoked. This was a fun broadcast. Again, friendly reminder, this post is going to sit around for the next week. So anytime between now and our next broadcast, if you like, comment, or share this video, we're going to enter you in a draw. And we need to hear from you. So in that comment section, drop that local restaurant that we should be getting the gift certificate from for our draw, because we want to support local. And if you're like me, you're probably getting sick of cooking at home and you've been hitting skip the dishes hard. So that'll be a nice little treat for checking out this real estate video and enjoying and interacting with us. And just like Calvin said, we need to know what to talk about next week. So we're going to be picking frequently asked questions. Hit us up with those questions. So we've got a great topic. And you know what, Calvin, this was awesome. I appreciate that you're being responsible. You're socially distancing. But where are you right now?
Ziba Beach.
That's right.
And I can tell you, the closest person next to me, well, actually, is my girlfriend Amanda.
That's your quarantine buddy, so it's okay. It's okay. You guys have been sharing germs well before quarantine.
Yeah, we live together, so that's fine. But other than that, it's literally just the geese, which I'm loving. So, got to stay creative.